Hi. Today we're going to talk about a creative way to be gentle with ourselves because as Black women, um, we definitely want to have a practice of being gentle with ourselves, right? Because the world is not doing it, so we need to do it. Hi, my name is Lavinia, and I am a published author, creativity facilitator, educator, and my channel is about Black women over 50 discovering the joy of self care through creative expression and navigating those fears that we sometimes have when we're trying to pivot and start a new path. Those fears that come up at this stage of life can be a little bit more intense, maybe. Um, but yeah, this today's video is inspired by Alicia Renisi's, the artist. Her video, Be Gentle with Yourself. You're Not a Machine. It really resonated with me because of the importance of rest and how it's so hard for Black women to get enough rest, right? And one way of getting rest, right, is to just rest our bodies, right? Lay down, like, get some sleep, which is difficult enough for us to do. But another important way to rest is to rest our minds, right? And creative activities are a great way to do that. And oftentimes we don't do it enough, or we may not even do it at all, right? Like, I don't have time for that. It's frivolous, right? I got more important things to do. Um, so I just want to talk a little bit about why, or just, yeah, why it is physically beneficial, right? So we'll talk about that first. And that is that it lowers your cortisol levels, right? Cortisol is a stress hormone. And when you're doing creative activities, and I'll explain that a little later why that happens, your cortisol levels go down. But what also happens is you often get a dopamine release. And, dopamine is a mood enhancer. And that happens because when we're doing creative activities, we're experiencing a sense of accomplishment, right? We're making something pretty or something that smells good, right? And so we get that sense of accomplishment. And it's not like that accomplishment that we get like checking off something from the to-do list, right? Because that's like a hydra. You check off one thing and here comes 10 more, right? So that sense of accomplishment is like fleeting. Um, and so uh, it can be really helpful in helping us like maintain at least an element of physical health. Um, and the mental impact, let's talk about that a little bit. It actually functions a little bit like a form of meditation. And that has to do with the impact, and that's why it lowers our cortisol levels. Because when we're doing a creative activity, right, we need some focus because we're trying to create something. And so our mind isn't thinking about what happened at work. It's not thinking about how I'm gonna pay these bills off. It's not thinking about, the things that we worry about because our mind is focused elsewhere and it's focused on something that isn't intense, it isn't stressful. It's pleasurable, right? Because it's a sense of play we're experiencing. We're being opened, right? And we're doing something that is fun. And so in that way, it kind of can function and give us some of the benefits that we would get from meditation because we're shifting our minds away from stress and putting it on something. That's the part that isn't like meditation per se, but we're putting it on something that's pleasurable, and creative activities. They do that for us, right? And so I want to invite you to rethink that, uh, seeing creativity as something that is something to do once in a while, that it's something that's kind of frivolous, and an indulgence to do just every now and then. And if you like the sip and paints, don't just wait for an event, right? You can get a paint by numbers from Amazon, 20, $30, and have your own sip and paint with your girlfriends or with your husband or with your boyfriend or even with your kids. And it could be, really a great time. And I'm going to share one of my experiences that just blew me away. When it came to that, I had never done paint by numbers. I had the idea that I didn't even know they still made them. I thought it was something that, it, they kind of phased out. And so, but during the pandemic, um, we were bored, you know. It's like, what can we do? So I bought 3 kits for my nephew and myself and my brother. And I'm thinking, oh, me and my brother, we're gonna do it because we're older, we're patient. He's not gonna do it. And my brother, on the other hand, didn't even open it, didn't look at it, right? Because he had already made up his mind what he can find pleasure in without trying it. But my nephew was like, okay, he didn't want me being out there on my own doing it. So every Saturday, he was there. We were there in the garage listening to our music, him listening to his young stuff that I learned to like some of it. But he wound up finishing. I didn't even finish mine, but he wound up finishing it. And now I know that's probably that, positive reinforcement dopamine hit, that he was getting. But I'm so happy that now, as a Black man going out into the world and dealing with all the stress that he's going to be dealing with, that he has this resource that he can lean on to support his mental wellness. So that's something great that you can even introduce to your kids, right? So just want to encourage you to maybe rethink how you see creative activities. Well, that's all I'm going to talk about today. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to hear more about uh, a different way to self care and support your mental wellness, please subscribe to my channel. You have a good one and see you next time.